So today I'm going to be talking about emotional disturbance disorders, and so let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so first, what is an emotional disturbance? Well, here's the definition that IDEA gives. It defines it as an emotional disturbance is something that has one or more of these 5 characteristics here for a long period of time. The first one is an inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. Number 2, an inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers, family, or teachers. Next, it's inappropriate behavior or feelings under normal circumstances. Number 4 is a general pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression. And number 5 is a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. So they have to have one of these 5 characteristics, and it does have to be over a long period of time. Sometimes students have these every once in a while, or even for maybe a week at a time, but it does have to be for a long period of time for it to be classified under emotional disturbance. Some characteristics of these students are hyperactive, aggressive, self-injurious. Sometimes they withdraw and don't interact with other people because they have excessive fear or anxiety. Sometimes they have immature behavior like inappropriate crying, temper tantrums, poor coping skills. And last, they may have learning difficulties. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a video of some students who have emotional disturbance disorder and some teachers who struggle to keep them in line. This is a special education classroom, and this is a severe case, so we'll just go ahead and watch a little bit.
Abby, can you take some space properly?
It's very severe, and the teachers do struggle to know how to help the children here, but it's a real thing, and it's not their fault they have these behaviors. We just have to do our best to help them. Okay, so some causes of these disorders. Well, actually, there is no definite cause. There's some possible contributing factors, but there is no directly linked cause to this emotional disturbance disorder. So there's heredity, it could be genetic, brain disorder, it could be due to diet, it could be due to a lot of stress, or family functioning. There is a lot of times that students acquire emotional disturbance disorder because of maybe an abusive home or something like that. It's not the result of their personal weakness or lack of character or poor upbringing. It's just a mental disorder that's hard for them to control, and it's most often treatable. So we'll go through some of the disorders and how they can be treated. So anxiety disorder is an irrational fear of everyday situations. It's just a severe, uncontrollable fear of waking up, going to school, going to work, whatever that child is going through. It's hard for them to control. It's the most common psychiatric illness, and only 37% of those who have it are actually treated for it. Bipolar disorder is characterized by dramatic mood swings, from angry and irritable to sad and depressed. It's usually has normal behavior in between those mood swings, but they are dramatic mood swings. And they can be treated with a combination of medication and psychosocial therapy. Conduct disorder is aggression, deceitfulness, destruction, lying, stealing, and the treatment is helping the child to learn how to better solve problems, communicate, handle stress, as well as how to control impulses and anger. This is very difficult for a teacher. It's a big task that we have to take on, but it's definitely worth it. Another treatment is family therapy and peer group therapy. These are great options. Eating disorders, this most commonly happens with young girls who have a great worry about their own self-image or body weight. So the first one is anorexia nervosa, which is characterized by starving yourself. Bulimia nervosa is binge eating and then forcing yourself to throw it all back up. And binge eating is just excessive amounts without control of what or how much they are eating. And treatment includes psychological and nutritional counseling. Last, psychotic disorders. This is an umbrella term that includes other disorders where there is abnormal thinking or perceptions. So it includes hallucinations, which is seeing, hearing, feeling something that isn't there, and delusions, which is false beliefs, such as thinking someone is plotting against you. There is treatment, and that includes psychotherapy and medications. So as we saw, there's several more disorders than just the ones I listed, but those are examples and the treatment that we have for it. It's most often therapy and medication. So in the school, what do we do when we have a student with an emotional disturbance disorder? Well, first, we should be able to get them an IEP. We should help them receive special education services, especially if they're in the moderate to severe cases. And it's a great idea to put counseling as a part of that IEP plan. And then our role specifically as the teacher. It's so important to be positive and to be a support for them. You may be one of the few people in their life that actually cares, or you're probably one of the people that spends the most time with that student, honestly, because they do spend 7 hours a day at school. But anyways, help them master academics, develop social skills, and increase self-awareness, self-control, and self-esteem. This is also a very big task, but as we get to know our students more, we can accomplish this better. Get in contact with the family, ask if there's anything you need to help, get advice from them. This is a great place to start if you're just completely lost. Attend the IEP meeting, learn more about the student and what their accommodations are, how the accommodations will affect your class. Set expectations in your class, and show understanding for the disability. These students are going through a lot, and we don't understand their thinking process because we're not them, and we don't have the same disability that they do. But the more you try to understand them, the better you'll be able to care for them and help them overcome this. So I just want to watch a short video about some advice that we have from a teacher.
Bobby, what do you say? You gonna join us today?
No. You're away from me.
Well, Bobby, do you even have any materials with you today?
Does it look like I got any materials?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna give you some paper here, and I'm gonna give you a pen, and if you want, you can use that, all right?
No.
You ever had a student like Bobby in your classroom? It's maddening. It's frustrating. What does Bobby do yesterday? The same thing you just saw him do today. What's Bobby going to do tomorrow? The same thing that you saw him do today. What's Bobby likely to do next week? The same thing. Instinctually, you want to walk over and just take his hood off his head and say, sit up and pay attention and learn. This is a great class. But we can't do that. Bobby's one of those children with some emotional disturbance. Sometimes it's hard to say whether a kid is making it up or just being defiant. But, he presents as being defiant, and he presents as being extremely disrespectful in some adults' eyes. But for Bobby, he lives in a very different world. The world he doesn't understand is the one that we'd like him to understand. So every day, I do exactly what you saw me do. I go up and I say to him, Bobby, you want to join us today? And he says, no. So I give him materials, and he puts them on the floor. I'm waiting for that one day that if I consistently be there for him and he stays in my classroom, remember, don't ask him to leave, because how's he going to learn if he's not there? He'll just go put his head down with his hood over his head in the office somewhere, and that's, of course, more comfortable. At least he's going to hear what's going on, and he's bright enough to take in that instruction. Someday, one day, I hope, if I'm there for him, he may peek around that corner of his hood. He may pick up that paper one day and even just put a little design or a doodle on it. And if he does, I'm getting somewhere. These kids are depending on you more than you can imagine. Believe me, it's hard to walk by a kid with a hood over his head who refuses to lift his head up off the desk. But the more I push him away, the more I'm feeding into exactly what he wants. Hey, Bobby, you gonna join us today?
Looks like I'm gonna join you.
All right, here's your paper, here's a pen. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, y'all. Here we go. Remember that thing we were talking about yesterday? Page 273. How exciting is this stuff? Hey, history's going to repeat itself at some point, right? All right, y'all. Let's get started.
What did she get?
Okay, so that's a great idea and great advice from that teacher. Basically, she's just saying that it's worth it to take the hard job and be consistent and keep trying. Eventually, they'll come around if you just consistently be there and build that trust with them. So that is emotional disturbance, and I hope that helped. Thank you.